Good morning. Regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners. The date is February 2, 2016, and the time is 9:05. Roll call.
Let the record reflect Commissioners Ibarra, Glazier, Hara, Lindbergh, Woods-Gray are present, and we have a quorum. Madam President.
Thank you. Flag salute, Mamna Sands.
Please join me in a moment of silence in order to ask present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department to devote their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
So we start with Commissioner comments, item 1.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Groundhog's Day. I don't know if the groundhog saw his shadow or not, but maybe the weather will get better. This past week, 2 weeks, was exciting. We had a lot of things to do. Saturday, I went for the Run to Remember. I didn't run, but I went there. It was fun. We had a lot of people participating, including our chief. I didn't get to see all the people who came through. I did see Chief Butler as he crossed the line. He was really running, and there were some others, but we were well represented at the event. I just want the chief to work on the medal, because the medal doesn't reflect that the fire department was there, and we want that to be taken care of, but he said he would. And then Saturday, I attended the Career Expo, and that department is doing an outstanding job of organizing. It was, I got to see vehicles and equipment. I think some of it I had not seen. Everybody was present. It was really great to see a lot of kids and people really trying out, women as well as men and all ages. A diverse group also. And on Thursday, I attended the retirement for Linda Ellerman. I always get the name. Who I learned was an outstanding paramedic, a part of our fire department. And she will truly be missed because of just the nature of who she was and how she worked in the department and with people in the department. I was very impressed with her record. And then we had another orientation class. So we're moving right along. We should be able to replace some of the people that we're losing on that report that we have for today. All in all, I had a great time representing and being a part of the fire department.
Hi, I just want to take a moment to recognize Chief Alicia Welch for her outstanding job with the Expo and the recruitment department. I did go, and it was very, very inspiring. There were a lot of diverse candidates, male, female. It was, like Jimmy Woods-Gray said, every department was there, and it was fantastic. So it was very, very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Moving on to item 2, which is reports of the fire chief.
Thank you, Madam President. On January 21st, we had an all-chiefs meeting at Hodgkins where about 90% of our chiefs showed up. It's the third all-chiefs meeting I've had since I've been the fire chief. This one's memorable because we had 13 chiefs. We do have 13 chiefs retiring between now and July. So we recognized their service. We asked each one of them to come to the front and share their wisdom, and it was very, very well received. Chief Rueda came back and gave us a presentation. We were able to show our gratitude for his service. And Chief Castro spoke and laid out his expectations. And I gave an update on current events. So it was very, very positive. It goes to our effort to increase our communications throughout the department. And we posted all the information on our Target Solutions, our online learning. So all the information is there to be shared. January 23rd, we had I was at Banning High School for it was a Saturday, a magnet recruitment effort. And in one day, we signed up 27 students for the high school magnet program. On top of the 20 that we already had, we now have 47 students in the very first LAFD Banning High School Fire Academy.
Wow.
We have 2 other schools that are following closely behind. We have Wilson High School and Dorsey High School. The plan long term is to expand that throughout the city. January 24th, we did run the LA Run to Remember. It was a great run, great event. I saw Chief Beck at the start. I did not see him at the finish. I asked him what happened. He said that he went to he did the 5K and somebody picked him up. I said, all right. He was honest. So I threw down the gauntlet for the basketball, and we'll say, okay, we're going to take you on basketball. Get ready. We did have on January 25th a recruit family orientation at Hodgkins. We had a great group with their family and friends, and very excited to start. This group was the class that's starting February 8th at Drill Tower 40. This is the one we lobbied for, we found funding for, and we were able to squeeze it in because of the number of drop members leaving in the next few months. It was very critical that this happened. And thanks to the efforts of Chief Rideout and Chief Everett and others, we were able to make that happen. And Mayor Garcetti and the council and the commission. It truly was a group effort. We had January 26th, we had a Battle of the Badges event at LAPD headquarters. It was a partnership with county sheriffs, county fire department, LAPD, and the American Red Cross to donate blood. So we donated blood that day. If anybody's interested, there'll be multiple dates coming up that you can donate at LAFD and LAPD locations. January 27th, I went with Mayor Garcetti out to Porter Ranch and met with the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council as well as a Save Porter Ranch group about the natural gas leak, what the fire department's doing to address that, and we discussed plans for re-entry. The projection is that sometime later this month they will have finally capped the leak, but just in case, they do have a plan B in progress, but they're very, very confident that they will successfully cap that leak later this month. On January 30th was that expo. I have to add my congratulations to the recruitment staff. It was a fantastic first event. Over 500 people last we heard. And we met a little girl named Lena, 7-year-old little girl. Her mom brought her to the expo, and she said she always wanted to be a firefighter, but that she was told by somebody that she couldn't. So I asked the little girl, Lena, well, who told you that? And she said, well, a little boy told me that. Okay, well, that's the problem. So we introduced Lena to Chief Welch and Captain Kepner and said, yes, you can be a firefighter. So that goes to the intangibles. The mother said that when she saw that PSA, by the way, it's airing on Channel 7, started on Monday, that tears came to her eyes, Lena's eyes. And that's the intangible effect of our recruitment effort. We need to change the paradigm at a very young age. And it really, you know, I mentioned to Commissioner Nimberg, it tells me it's working. Mm-hmm. We just got to give it time and maintain that effort. So very good event, very proud of the LAFD, very proud of the recruitment section. Good job. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. So verbal report by the department on significant incidents from January 20th to February 2.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, Madam City Attorney, and Isela. My name is Philip Flegel. I'm the Deputy Chief in charge of Operations Central Bureau, and I have a few items to share with you this morning in regards to the last couple of weeks with the department. Yesterday, we had a major emergency structure fire in Fire Station 50's first in at 3019 North Fierro Avenue, or Fierro Street. Fire resources initially got on scene of a one-story commercial building with fire through the roof in the rear. Because of the high winds we had yesterday, that fire rapidly spread to a nearby drinking straw manufacturing plant. And unfortunately, they had several items of baled materials and boxes outside that the fire spread to rapidly got inside that business as well. The firefight took about an hour and a half to get a full knockdown on. And throughout the day yesterday, companies were still on scene with tractor companies from Los Angeles City and also LA County Fire Department digging out the rubble there to make sure the fire was fully extinguished. And I believe today we'll have release that property back to the owner. There are no injuries at the fire, although during the overhaul we did have one minor injury to a firefighter's ankle, and he's going to be okay and be released back to duty within a couple days. And the cause is still under investigation for that. As you also all well know, on Sunday we had our second El Nino type event happen in the city. I want to say it was kind of not a very eventful type of event that we had, which is, I guess, is good. We did have one swiftwater rescue that we had in the LA River, and it really wasn't a rescue. It was more of a person walking in the LA River during a height of the rise of the water. We did have a full response go out there and extract this person from the river to make sure they were safe and everything was okay with that person. They did climb medical attention. And just to give you an idea, kind of the scope, we had some of the incidents we had on Sunday. We had over 180 responses for wires down, 12 responses for floods, 11 responses for transformer fires, 10 responses for pole fires, and 6 trees down. And the news media pretty much covered a lot of that stuff that we saw on TV. So we were pretty busy that day. And lastly, just an incident of kind of significance too is on the 26th, last Tuesday, we had a spontaneous demonstration on the streets of LA and Temple Streets where people actually stopped the traffic and shut down a good part of the city because of what they were doing in the middle of the street. And usually a lot of the protests that we have happen every day in the city, and they're scheduled and they're permitted, and this one wasn't. But what was unique about this particular incident is the people employed that were demonstrated had a specific type of a mechanism called a hidden dragon technique of demonstration, which means it's a tube device that's put on their arms and they lay down in the middle of the street. And these devices don't allow these people to be moved unless the devices are cut off. So that's what kind of prolonged the demonstration. So what was good about it and what's good about the 4 bureaus is I was able to get on scene very rapidly and make eye contact with my LAPD counterpart, devise a plan on how we're going to do a tactic to remove this thing, came up with a good idea with what the SWAT people and the Metro PD people already have in place. And we were able to remove these devices without any injury to any persons or anybody at the scene. Everybody was evaluated medically, everybody was released, and then the people were taken care of. So it's just something that we're aware of now, and actually going to train a little bit more with LAPD to make sure that these incidents, if they occur more frequently, we're able to kind of expedite the extraction of these people more often and sooner and
Was
faster.
this the first time we'd seen it? We've seen this strategy.
You know, actually, this is something that's has happened quite a bit in years past. I haven't been on one myself yet, but talking with some other chiefs and some other people, it has happened in the past. And from what LAPD was saying, it's starting to surface again and happen quite a bit. And the one thing that we're saying is about as far as making a more expeditious extrication of these things, if you were to get those, say, in several intersections in the city at one time, that could severely impact traffic. So, again, we're working with LAPD to make sure we got a good plan to expedite the extrication of these people a lot sooner than normal. And that's all I have. Is there any questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Verbal report by the medical director on the same time period, January 20th to February 2.
Good morning. Dr. Mark Eckstein, Medical Director. Significant EMS incidents since our last meeting. On January 23rd, incident 1264, and 33's first in, there was a drive-by shooting with 4 victims, 2 fatalities, including a 16-year-old female. We transported 3 of the 4. One was pronounced on scene, one succumbed to her injuries at the hospital. On the 25th of January, in 86's first day, a CHP on-duty motor officer was involved in a very serious traffic accident on his motorcycle. Engine 86, Rescue 78 treated and transported the officer to Holy Cross Trauma Center. And we had EMS captain assist with liaison with the CHP officer, his chain of command, and his family in ensuring he got the proper care and follow-up. On the 30th of January, a tragic accident in 25's first in. There was a young woman stopped her car, was getting her 5-year-old child out of the back seat, got sideswiped by someone speeding, driving recklessly down the street. She was hit and thrown considerable distance. She was transported to County USC. Ultimately, she tragically succumbed to her injuries. The 5-year-old female was critical, but ultimately will survive. On a brighter note, on January 30th and 21's first in, 68-year-old female, respiratory distress progressing to a cardiac arrest, and the combined efforts of Engine 21, Assessment Engine 14, and Rescue 21 got this patient restored her pulses to the extent when she got to the hospital, she was breathing on her own and beginning to wake up. So it was a great save there. And on January 25th, and the 81's first in, combined efforts of members of the 81s resulted in the save of a 27-year-old sudden cardiac arrest, also expected to make a full recovery. Finally, our nurse practitioner response unit, NP1, went live on January 4th. They're getting more and more traction as they become more comfortable and the field gets more comfortable with their scope of practice. Their call load has gone up. A couple of days they had 12 incidents, up to 6 treat and releases. They're visiting a number of super users. They're doing laceration repairs. Some of the patients they're treating releases are in custody patients. So they're having a significant impact, freeing up our resources, keeping ambulances out of the hospital for low acuity patients. We're going to be doing follow-up in terms of patient satisfaction and so forth. But this is only continues to improve, become more impactful, and so far extremely pleased with their progress.
In custody patients, what does that mean?
We have we go on a fair number of patients where LAPD requests our assistance, patients under arrest who have some type of medical complaint, and paramedics' abilities to medically clear those patients is extremely limited. Invariably, those patients end up being transported to the hospital, which the arresting officers have to accompany the patient. So there's a logistical impact to our members as well as law enforcement. And given the expanded scope of practice and clinical acumen of the nurse practitioner unit, they were able to do a comprehensive, rapid evaluation, medically clear the patient so that patient could be booked, which freed up our paramedics and the officers as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to presentations. Item 3.
Good morning. My name's Daniel Curry. I'm the captain, public information officer in the community liaison office. And I have a presentation. About 3 years ago, a work group was formed to create and update the department's secretarial handbook and create a correspondence and reference manual and provide training for the department's clerical personnel. The intent of this style guide is to provide standardized content to ensure LAFD written communications in and outside of the department is professional and consistent. The contents have been issued a book number by planning and become a part of our department library. In addition, a copy of this complete guide, which I hold here in my hand, has been posted to the portal for easy access to all members. It has already been referenced on promotional examinations. This correspondence and reference manual outlines the department's letter format and signature block standards for basic F223s, F225s, F228s, and Form General 160 interdepartmental correspondence. Throughout this process, Elizabeth DeAnda has consulted with Executive Administrative Assistants Dacia Gonzalez and Judy Hom regarding revisions, deletions, and or additions to the traditional format. The revisions, deletions, and or additions were all agreed upon and confirmed. These three have done an outstanding job in providing a resource to this department that we never had before. Prior to I think all supervisors in this room can agree, it's been very difficult to write letters in the standardized format that we have. And there's also special thanks need to go to Chief Rideout, who really saw this project in a draft format and realized its importance to the department and that it needed to be brought to its completion. At this time, I'd like to bring up Miss Elizabeth DeAnda and Miss Dacia Gonzalez. Unfortunately, Miss Judy Hom could not be here today, and we'd like to present them with some certificates. And I must say, they are here against their will. So first for Ms. Gonzalez. Stop glaring at me. In recognition and sincere gratitude of your dedicated service, diligent efforts, and commitment to the department, which contributed to a heightened level of professionalism and consistency throughout the department, the Los Angeles Fire Department commends you and extends our appreciation for your initiative and outstanding support with the development and ultimate publishing of the department's correspondence style guide. And for Ms. DeAnda. In recognition and sincere gratitude of your dedicated service, diligent efforts, and commitment to the department, which contributed to a heightened level of professionalism and consistency in written communications throughout the department. Your actions have been instrumental as you endeavored to develop, compose, coordinate, and provide accurate and reliable analysis to determine a uniform set of standards for preparing basic correspondence. Your contributions serve as a sterling example for all, reflect great credit upon yourself, and have provided a platform that the department will utilize for many years to come. The Los Angeles Fire Department commends you and extends our appreciation for your initiative, outstanding support, and perseverance with the development and ultimate publishing of the department's correspondence style guide. Thank you.
I got a couple of words to add to this. Neither of the ladies want to speak, and Judy is missing in action. But I'll tell you that the style guide is critical, but that's just a fraction of the things that they do. You know, the civilians are actually the backbone of this department. And Judy, when I was a Professional Standards Division commander, her office is over there, and she would knock on the door and says, "Do you have a minute?" And I learned that when she says that, make time, because she has something important to say. And then with Dacia, she's my assistant. She's my partner. She's way ahead of the game in scheduling and letters, and she'll bring things to my attention that are not on my radar. And she just does it with little effort and seamless and to a high level of professionalism. There's no way, no how we could do the things we're doing without your help, Dacia. So sincerely, thank you for that. Thank you very much. And then Liz. Liz was my secretary when I was a community liaison officer. And I always ask her, who's your favorite community liaison officer? Or who's your favorite boss? And she won't give me a straight answer. But we accomplished some great things there. And Liz by herself put on the Christmas luncheon one year, all by herself. And Chief Rideout, it took you a whole section to do what Liz did by herself. And to this day, I hear about it from Liz. So these ladies are amazing. There's no way we could do what we're doing. We're very appreciative of everything that you both do, and we wish you the best. We hope you stay with us forever. Congratulations. Take some pictures of the commissioners. Come this way. Watch your back. A little more. Watch your back. What's your favorite color?
consent agenda items. Items 4A and 4B.
Okay, move to adopt the recommendations for the items 4A and B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So 5A, actually we're going to take it out of order. 5C is verbal report by the department on fast response vehicles. Dr. Eckstein.
Morning again.
Morning.
It's my pleasure to come back with this verbal report on a fast response vehicle. As I'm sure the Commission is aware, the FRV was created largely through an innovation fund that was submitted about a year ago, the Mayor's Innovation Fund, for a pilot program for a fast response vehicle. And again, the concept was to have a mobile rapid vehicle staffed by 2 firefighter paramedics to be able to get on scene more quickly, being on the radio rather than in quarters, focusing on our high acuity calls or immediate dispatches, initiate patient treatment when the patient needs time critical treatment, and also to cancel resources and perform triage on scene vis-a-vis downgrading ALS to BLS and so forth. The fast response vehicle in the battalions 1 and 11 began on September 21st of last year. They operate on a 410 schedule and staffed by 2 firefighter paramedics. They have the same medical capabilities as a fully staffed paramedic rescue ambulance. They're in a brush patrol vehicle, so they also carry water supply and hose, and they can initiate fire suppression when needed as well. And we've been fortunate. We've had our tactical EMS paramedics staff the FRV, so these are very experienced firefighters and paramedics. In the period of time from September 21st, when they first went into service, until second week of January, they responded to 389 incidents. Their average response time was just over 3 minutes. And during those 389 responses, they canceled 573 companies. So average about 1.5 companies canceled per response. Most of those were fire companies. Some of those were ambulances as well. They've been first on scene of 3 cardiac arrests. And I think by anyone's metric, they've been successful in that they are decreasing workload on some of our busiest fire companies, particularly in Station 9. Because they're on the radio, they don't have the turnout time, so they're getting on scene very, very quickly. It's getting better as, again, they learn the districts, and they can initiate ALS, BLS, cancel resources, initiate patient care. 2 of the cardiac arrest patients for whom they were first on scene for ultimately survived. The feedback from the paramedic staffing the vehicle has been extremely positive. As you know, we expanded and started a second fast response vehicle in the Sylmar area in San Fernando Valley, dubbed FR401, that began in the middle of October, which has shown similar metrics. There are time savings from the FR201, which is the fast response vehicle in battalions 1 and 11, have saved anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes from the on-scene time of the first responding resource. The time savings for the FR401, which is covering 91 to 98's first in Battalion 12, be even larger because the districts out there are much larger as well. So we hope to build upon the success of the fast response vehicle, and we've requested funding for additional resources throughout the city. Again, the fast response vehicle is not intended to replace any existing apparatus, but it's an additional resource that's fast, could initiate rapid patient care to focus on time-critical immediate dispatches, triage incidents, downgrade ALS to BLS, free up fire companies and ambulances, and I think it's a novel, efficient, additional type of resource in our existing fleet. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thanks, Doctor, for the report. I have been able to see this firsthand, certainly the early returns suggest that this is a great addition to our arsenal of I don't want to call them weapons, but responses to what we're seeing, and I think it represents an evolution, the beginning of an evolution of our department. To bring on new ways of responding to the needs that our communities represent. And I couldn't agree with you more when you say that it's not a replacement for what we have in place, but it is a critical addition. And I think if we look at our armed forces, what we're seeing with them is that, they still have aircraft carriers, but they're also putting a lot of investment in special forces that allow for more flexible and nimble responses to the problems that we have in a changing world. And I think we have some key analogies there. Fortunately, we're saving lives versus the opposite. But it's the ability of our department to think critically about ways to evolve for our service model, to build on what we've got and continue to flexibly meet and give us some nimbleness in terms of how we respond to a very rapidly changing community, or a changed community, I think is so important. Presumably, if the success continues, we will see, hopefully, an expansion of this program over time. If that's the case, what I would ask is this, that one of the conversations I've had with a number of the members who staff the vehicles is a desire for a purpose-built vehicle for their work. Recognizing that we wanted to try this out, and we had some stuff in the shops that could be a great way to try it out. I think that was the right thing to do. But now may be the time for the folks in our shops, for the members who are actually doing the work, to get together and think about what would a purpose-built vehicle look like that will enable them to be even more effective than they are already being. And so that is something that I would like to request, is that over the next some period of time, perhaps this calendar year, that conversation begin with the talented folks in our shops and the talented members in the field, and consider what would a true purpose-built vehicle look like. It may be that there are parts of the city where a brush patrol truly is going to satisfy the purpose of the vehicle, but I suspect that there are parts of the city where a brush patrol, while a good temporary solution, may not be the best ultimate solution if this is going to be something that we're going to continue to do. And so I want to throw that out there as a request, and we can discuss when an appropriate time for a report back might be. But this should be something, if we're serious about this, that we actually get serious and say, okay, we're going to actually give them a vehicle that is designed for this purpose.
Just to dovetail on that, I wonder if that's going to be part of the standards of cover that we've been working on. I mean, shouldn't it also look at kind of what the most appropriate resources for, for different areas and for different needs?
Yes, the standards of cover, I will make sure that this resource and the NPRU is assessed in terms of where it might be appropriate, but once again, to supplement, not to replace any fire companies.
Another point I'd like to add is that we're incorporating new dispatch algorithms that will include the FRVs in the algorithms. Right now, the member staff in the FRV monitor radio traffic and then buy into a call, as it were. So their response times will further decrease when they'll be dispatched, because the CAD will look for the FRV first in certain types of EMS incidents. We hope to have those in place over the next few months.
Just, I think one other. I mean, you mentioned the paramedics who are staffing these, who are happily doing so. I had the exact same conversation with them. I think one other benefit that we don't talk about that often, but is there's a benefit to our members, because it gives them another possible schedule to look at. And for some of our members, a 410 is really attractive, to be able to look at. Certainly we have a lot of members who the platoon duty is great, and that's good. But some of the folks I talk to, they really like the opportunity to be able to practice being a paramedic more, and also to have that opportunity to have a 410. So it's just one more option for our members in the field that's available to them, and that's a way for them to explore some interests. And I think one of the things that makes this department great is that we've got so many varied opportunities here, and this is just another one. So another one that we don't talk about too much, but I think was important.
So, and the 410, so it's covered during peak hours, which is Monday through Friday. Is that?
It's currently staffed either Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday on a 410 schedule. Initially, they were working 11 a.m. to 2100 hours. They moved it to 06:30 to 16:30. Their call load has not changed. They're covering areas that are so busy that there's not a lot of downtime no matter what time of day it is. So we
you
were happy
do it
to
on weekends too.
if they're amenable to that. We haven't covered on weekends. I mean, certainly the need exists, particularly in Station 9, the busiest district in the city. The need is certainly there. And of course, the goal for 91 is a little bit different due to the response time challenges. But certainly, it's a nice way to augment our fleet, decrease response times, take a little bit of the workload off very, very busy companies. And any way we could expand coverage with additional FRVs, I think, would be great for the community and great for the members.
Just as you bring about changes that may or may not affect working conditions and staffing, you are in communication with the UFLAC and the other unions that work with those groups.
Certainly defer to the fire chief, but if it involves meet and confer, we're certainly compliance with that. And this is something that I know just everything the fire chief has done has been in concert with labor. And again, this is a resource where the members, at least anecdotally, are extremely pleased to staff, but I'll defer to the fire chief in regards to your specific question.
The answer is yes. We have regular meetings with them. They've been partners all along, and any time it triggers a meet and confer requirement, we do it. Sometimes we do it anyway, even if it doesn't, just to make sure they're fully informed of the direction we're heading.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we don't need to move on that. So 5A is report by the department on status of disposition of matters referred to other departments and agencies.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Julie and Isela. My name is Graham Everett. I'm the Chief of Staff with your City Council and Committee's activity report from January 19th to the 22nd. I do have some additional items that were not covered in the report that's before you. We did have 5 items today that I'm waiting to hear back from. 2 of them in City Council and 3 of them will be at Public Safety, which just concluded. So that'll be on the next written report. One of the items in City Council today is relative to the issuance of naloxone, which is what our paramedics will call Narcan. It's the term, is the actual drug. It is used for narcotic overdoses. And so this would be, it's a motion that was filed that we're reporting back on the feasibility of carrying additional. It's actually an EMT skill now to administer a certain type of Narcan. So that's before council this morning, and that's why I wanted to move Dr. Eckstein up a little bit, because he's got to go over there. In addition to that, we have some UASI grant items that are going through, and there's also a response time item at Public Safety, which just concluded, so I'll get a report back on that soon. So if you have any questions, I can answer.
Okay, move to receive and file item 5A. Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5B is report by the department relative to the quarterly Fire Prevention Bureau action plan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chief Terrazas, Julie, Selid, John Vidovich, Deputy Chief, Fire Prevention Bureau. Before you is the Fire Prevention Bureau's quarterly report on the action plan developed back in December of last year. In essence, it was a 21-point plan and a roadmap to serve the direction the Fire Prevention Bureau established. To date, of the 21 items, 12 have been completed, and this quarter we should complete an additional 5. What I wanted to highlight today is a couple things moving forward in the next few months. One being is establishing a risk-based fire prevention program for our brush inspections. If we didn't do one brush inspection every year, we still would have 90% compliance. So using data and metrics, we're going to focus initially on a 3-tier approach to use data. Anyone who hasn't completed brush, we know in the last 3 years, they become a Tier 1 inspection for us. I think it's going to be a better model for us to know that we can target the frequent flyers initially and do those inspections first. The other piece is our community risk reduction program. The fire chief approved to the pilots, and Chief Cooper and his staff is working to bring those into fruition. The other item that we're going to complete is in regards to our performance-based metrics. Actually, right after Commission, I do meet with FireStat and looking at the next vision of FireStat for the Fire Prevention Bureau. In our first iteration of FireStat, we've been really looking at the number of inspections completed and number of inspections that were backlogged and so forth. As we continue to work towards that catch-up, what we really want to look at the next phase is how effective are we in our inspections in reducing structure fires. The other piece is the effectiveness of our brush program. And then another component, utilizing the compliance engine, how we can reduce the number of false alarms in the city. So they're going to be the three new metrics we're going to bring to the Fire Prevention Bureau's FireStat program this year. One other item, and I met yesterday with Commissioner Glazier on this, is the right sizing of our inspection districts as we looked and brought forward a reorganization plan for the Fire Prevention Bureau. One thing we recognize is a lot of our districts were not balanced correctly. We're in the process of completing that, and as that's completed, it moves towards the 4-bureau reorganization that we have a meeting with Labor tomorrow on to discuss the effects of this reorganization. So with that, I'm able to answer any additional questions you may have.
Thanks for the presentation. Again, I'm pleased to see the work being done here. I have a question on the technology aspect of your plan. I know the technology and your reporting systems have been a real handicap for your department in terms of being able to, whether it runs from inspectors being able to report in the field or our overall reporting system. I believe it's called FPAWS. Is that on your action plan here, or can you talk a little bit about it, about what your hopes are around technology and improvement there?
I mean, obviously technology has been one of our struggles. We've instituted in our development services a program known as FIMS. Our goal ultimately is to expand that throughout the Fire Prevention Bureau. It really mobilizes our workforce, and it's a cloud-based system. We're moving in that direction. There's a budget request in next year's budget to support that. Without improving technology, we're limited because our inspectors currently have to drive to their inspections and then drive back in to do the entries. Our goal is to mobilize that workforce to increase our productivity and keep them in the field conducting inspections.
Is there also? What's the monetary cost for us? Obviously we have a productivity issue with our members. I have also some concerns about our ability to just track, our permits. I've had some conversations in the past with you and others about some of those concerns. Would one of the systems address that issue about making sure that we have all of our that folks are actually renewing their fire permits and things like that?
Yes, the fire permit process within the city, we work with the Office of Finance. Currently, there's about 6,200 fire permits citywide for 115,000 inspections. Our estimates is that's a low number, and we continue to lose fire permit revenue because of an inadequate system.
On the low side, how much? Conservatively, how much revenue are we losing from that?
Some of the staff work that some of my staff's done say it could be close to $3 million.
Okay, that's left on the table, and how much of the system are we trying to get in place there? How much would the system be? So would the FIM system that you mentioned, would that support that?
It's about $1.2 million.
And that would help solve that problem?
It would help it, yes.
All right. Well, so certainly that lends some support for keeping that allocation in our budget for some technology improvements there.
Sir.
Okay, great. Well, so one thing that might be helpful is to add our technology to your action plan there. It might be here. Did I miss? Is it in here?
Not necessarily.
Okay,
Yeah.
So why don't we track that along with us? Just so what's the technology we're trying to implement in there, even if it's just one little box, so that we can say, because it sounds like that's a really important part of your plan. And I think as a commission, it's helpful for us to be able to, lend some support there to making sure that moves forward.
Yes, sir. The actual item that we were tracking here was only for development services, and that's all been implemented.
Great.
So the goal
Which I think has been great, and I think early reports suggest that's been really helpful.
Oh yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, great. So, I look forward to seeing how this continues along. It looks like we have talked about right-sizing districts. I do think it's really important for your inspectors to be able to have apples-to-apples comparisons of their district to be able to really kind of fairly evaluate how they're doing. So I'm pleased to see that's moving along. It looks like that's in progress for completion in March. So I'm happy to see stuff moving along, and hopefully that'll continue to.
Yeah, that's tied in with the target date for completing the reorganization. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, I know everybody in your bureau is working really hard on catching up with backlogs and just kind of moving through the change management. Change management is difficult, and I want to appreciate not only you and your command staff, but also all the rank and file who are out there really working their tails off right now to get the work done that needs to get done. And so just I don't want to neglect that note of appreciation for all the work that everybody in your staff is doing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The inspectors are to be commended. They are going above and beyond, and really the support of the fire chief to keep our vacancies full, giving us money for overtime to get caught up, and we should have a very positive report at the next commission meeting in regards to the overdue inspections.
Thank you. I just want to note that we did get a letter this morning from UFLAC about, I don't think that they have a public statement about it, but they did give us a letter, so I just wanted to say that. It sounds like it's something that we could work out. I'm not terribly concerned, but I do want to acknowledge that we received it and we've reviewed it, and I'm sure that we could work it out, between the department
Absolutely.
and UFLAC. Thank you. Anything else?
Okay.
Actually,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I do have a quick question. I ran into an inspector, and they said their concern was they were sent on an inspection and weren't properly trained in that specific, I think it was churches, institutions. What sort of training do you have to get all of the inspectors? I believe there's 11 types of buildings.
Yeah, I did hear some of that concern in regard when we brought some of our brush inspectors that hadn't done maintenance inspections in a while. They didn't feel comfortable. We talked to the supervisors to ensure that before they go back out, that we put them through the week's training course. They had been inspectors for several years. Right. So we have to have, what that brought in light is ongoing training, because oftentimes people become a specialist in one area, and our goal is to expand that horizon so you can do multiple type of inspections. We've placed all our inspectors through the state inspector certification, both Inspector 1A, B, C, and D for Inspector 1s, and then our Inspector 2s are now going through the 2A series. So our goal is continually provide ongoing training. We do provide quarterly training, job specific. That's planned for all our inspectors. And our next phase is to leverage the department's learning management system. So you have these vignettes so that an inspector on their own can go and refresh themselves on certain types of inspections.
Is there a way to track that so that we can ensure that the inspector that goes onto gets what's happening?
It's good.
Yeah, it's working. Is there a way to track it so that we can ensure that they're properly trained in that specific arena?
Yeah,
just making sure.
In our reorganization, we have a quality assurance unit that already exists, but it needs some staffing, truly. But we plan to leverage the current systems. There's ways to track a lot of training. One of the inspectors that works for me, John Novella, tracks all training for all our employees, not only inspection-wise, but any of the state mandates, federal mandates, and so forth, to ensure that everyone stays current.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Okay, move to which item number are we on here?
5B.
5B. Move to receive and file item 5B.
Second. All in favor? Aye. 5D is verbal report by the department on the current status of the hiring process. Oh, it's Personnel Department. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief. My name is John Dunlop, and I'm with the Personnel Department, Public Safety Division. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about recruitment, and then my colleague will talk about the selection process. But first, I want to thank Chief Welch and her staff because they're doing a wonderful job. And what we do is we work collaboratively with them in a partnership and everything that we're doing in terms of this recruitment effort. And we're very excited about it. And we're just so excited. This past event I'll talk about in a second. But one of the main things that we do, and probably the face of recruitment that we're responsible for, is the website, the recruitment website, joinlafd.org. And we revised it and redid it and reworked it in anticipation of this recruitment effort. We did that last fall, I think. And we made it easier to navigate it. We give it a new look. We made it mobile friendly. And I'm glad to say that as of this morning, the PSA is on the website. So people can see that. Actually, when you open up the website, when you open up the website, that's one of the first things you see. So we're excited about that. We're making improvements as we get feedback and information about that. We also manage the recruitment budget. We have the contracts with vendors, and Isaac Maya is the supervisor of the recruitment unit. And one of the things that we do in terms of working with the vendors is we order the promotional items. And as ambassadors of the LAFD, whenever you're out, Isaac is handing out some of the caps that we ordered. Those are wicking caps, and they kind of go along with the T-shirts that advertise LAFD. It says Join LAFD, that were worn at the Run to Remember. So you might have seen them. That logo, I think, was designed by a graphic designer on Isaac's staff. And so this is another type of thing that we do. There are other things that we order. Isaac is about to pass out some other stuff. The badge stickers, which are in keeping with the new slogan of wear your strength on your sleeve, or that type of stuff. Go ahead and hand that one out too.
They should get.
And of course, at the recent event over the weekend at the 30th, the expo, which I'll echo that it was fantastically well attended, and there was a lot of diverse candidates. It was an excellent effort on behalf of Chief Welch and her staff. This brochure was something that my staff created in collaboration with Chief Welch and her staff, and so that was distributed to everybody who was registering at the event. And we also go ahead and pass that one out too. This is a postcard that was developed for the next expo, which is a joint effort with LAPD and Airport Police, but it's going to be a fire expo where the same sorts of presentations that were made at the recent one will be made at this one as well. But this is going to be on February 20th at the Crenshaw Christian Center. And so this is the type of stuff that my staff produces, so that way it can be distributed for recruitment purposes, for canvassing and that type of thing. So, and of course, we'll be supporting the efforts on March 12th and May 21st at the upcoming expos as well. And so with that, if you look at the pamphlet, on pages 8 and 9, there's a reference to the selection process. And I'll hand it over to my colleague unless there are any questions regarding recruitment.
I have one question. Your recruitment budget is then used for these kinds of things? What else do you do?
In part, I mean, the budget is, we're working with Quigley Simpson to place ads. So we're looking at radio billboards with the assistance of Commissioner Ninberg. We're looking at placing ads on buses as well. That actually is going to be free to us. We just have to pay for production costs. Mm-hmm. So radio, we're looking to also advertise on streaming services like Pandora and Spotify. So we do these ads in advance of an expo to try to drive traffic to the events.
Oh, okay, very good, thanks.
And the date, Quigley is the name of the.
Quigley Simpson. Yes.
Did they donate their time for it?
Pro bono. Yes.
Pro bono.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
And they've done a very good job, I think, with those brochures. I was impressed with the printed material that I've seen so far.
Some of Quigley Simpson's artwork is in the brochure. I think if you open the second page of it is something that they designed, as well as
She
the
looks
back
amazing.
page, and so they've been very, very helpful in designing the campaign.
That's great. Oh yeah, I think we all love the campaign. It's
Yeah.
really well done. So good job.
Thanks.
Helping with that.
They were
Hello. I'm Tina Rodriguez. I'm the Chief of Selection Division in the Personnel Department. I'm here to talk about the selection process. So I passed out to you the job bulletin of the new firefighter selection process. I just want to start a little bit to give you a little background on how we came to this. The fire department asked the personnel department basically for a new process, a process that would enable us to test everyone, and also a process that would enable time for recruitment so that we have a diverse group to start with. So that's how we started. We've met frequently over time, I want to say over a year to talk about what we want to do. From our end, the personnel department's end, we actually went through an RFQ process to select a vendor to basically help us with determining, to help us with developing a process. The change essentially that you see in front of you, we went in front of our Civil Service Commission in December to get it approved, which is basically to add an additional requirement, which is to have candidates come having taken and passed the firefighter candidate assessment, which is what the vendor PSI created for us. The test battery that the written test assesses is basically two parts. The first part is what we call a cognitive test. It assesses stuff like reading comprehension, listening comprehension, mathematics, things like that, basic abilities. And then there's another part where it's a self-description talking about their background and experiences, things that would, such as teamwork, things like that, that would, customer service, that would make for a good firefighter. So that's the test battery they put together for us. Actually, they've used this test battery for other municipalities, most notably the New York Fire Department. They've had years ago, actually not too long ago, a big lawsuit that I think everyone's heard about. PSI was the vendor that came through for them and created and used this test battery so that the outcome is positive. The judge, accepted all the results. There was no adverse impact, and there was no issues of diversity.
Can I just interrupt you? How many years did they use it? How long have they?
I think they've used it for 4 years now. Yeah. So it's basically the same test battery we're going to use for our firefighter test, tried and true. It's anticipated that there would be no adverse impact as well for us.
Oh, excuse me. There's no adverse impact for women and minorities?
Correct.
And just really quickly, did the stakeholder groups get a chance to approve of this as well? The Stentorians, LAWFS, just
I think the fire department can speak about that. They've worked with the stakeholders, I believe, to talk about what we're going to do. The personnel department, work with the fire department on this.
Let me answer that. We've had, about a year ago, we initiated stakeholder meetings held at the UFLAC office. We've had 2, and we have a 3rd one coming up this Friday. So we laid out all the concerns, the common issues that we heard from multiple people about the problems with the exam. And we fine-tuned a proposal to address all those concerns. And that's what got us here today. Moving forward, our meeting Friday is to answer any additional questions they may have so we can address any concerns that they may raise.
Okay. And has this already been, because this did get approved, yes, that we are
The
going?
Civil Service Commission.
Yes.
But yes. So I just want to make sure that before it does get implemented that, I mean, which sounds like it's happening.
Yes, I think we're going to be there to answer any questions the stakeholders have, but the bulletin was opened in December just to announce it, to let people well ahead of time to understand what the new process is, and for us to post it online and make it public. Okay, so let me, maybe if I go further, answer more of your questions. So we require them to have that basically up front. It does cost the candidates $69. There is a fee waiver that we're making it very obvious some people can apply for. The vendor has worked closely with us on this, and whoever needs basically their fees waived because of a financial hardship. We do take a look at the poverty guidelines. However, I think the fire department is working with the stakeholders to have alternative types of fee waiver capabilities for the candidates. So there is also a tutorial available on the website, the PSI website, that allows candidates to see what it's like to take the test. The test is kind of unique because it's given online and interactive. There's video-based scenarios candidates respond to. So it's not your traditional test. It's more interactive, more in line with what people are used to seeing and reacting to. So that's another additive to having less adverse impact. So you don't have to read something necessarily to respond to a question. Let's see. So we've announced the bulletin to say this is what the process is. We're allowing candidates from February 22nd through July 15th to actually register themselves with PSI and take the test. This is actually a very long period of time. We usually give candidates a one shot, over the weekend or something like that. We've done it in the convention center before. So this is very unusual for us to open it for this long of a period for candidates to test. And it is at their convenience. So they go in and register themselves and basically choose what location they want to go to and the time they want to go to and the date.
February?
Starting February 22nd.
Oh, can I just ask you something that's confusing to me?
Mm-hmm.
Because it says here that the applications will be accepted online only starting on May 1st.
Right. So the requirement is that they take the test and pass it before they apply.
Oh.
So the February 22nd through July 15th is when they take the test, and our application filing period is actually May 1st through July 15th.
Okay, so then the process is that you take the test first.
Right. It's a requirement that you come on board
So
with
now
it
this
before
is
you
a
apply.
minimum requirement. The test is a minimum requirement.
Correct.
Just looking at your little chart.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep. It's similar to what we ask people to do with a CPAT, that they register themselves, take the test, and they need to have it by the time they finish their backgrounds.
Okay.
So is there an advantage to taking the test early
No advantage at all.
for selection?
If you fail, can you take it again?
We didn't design the process that way. There's really no time. Usually when you have a retest, when we do it in the personnel department, it's like a 6-month period they can retest. So this window is from February 22nd through July 15th. So there is no retest. There is no advantage to taking it early. Candidates are encouraged to do the tutorial and take advantage of any opportunities the fire department may have for prepping or whatever.
I can actually speak to why there might be an advantage, just because over half the people that are in the pool right now don't even show up to the written exam. So this sort of just, from what I understand, this is sort of just kind of ensures that they show up. that those that are applying really want this job.
No, I meant for the, is there an advantage to being selected to do the job after you, if you apply early, does that mean that you'll be put on a list earlier for a selection process?
Let me-
that was my concern.
The timing, no. Once the window closes, so everyone has taken the test by July 15th, we will basically do a stratified random sampling of the group, entire group, not just the ones that do it first. It's just the entire group. And then a smaller group will move forward to the interview process in August and continue to the rest of the process. If you look at page 8 of the booklet that John gave you guys, it shows basically the selection process. It starts with people meeting the minimum requirements, one of which is to pass that test, and then they apply it online, and then they're scheduled for the interview and sample from the group.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the test is online, or they actually have to show up someplace?
You actually have to show up because there is, like I believe it's over 40 locations, two of them in LA, that people can choose to take the test from. Kind of like what you do when you take the SAT or the GMAT or whatever. But it is a proctor test because they have to verify who you are, and it's safe. It's best that way.
That makes sense.
Okay. So once they apply, then we do stratified random sampling to make sure that the group that moves forward is a smaller group, but it's representative of the larger group that applied. Then they
Applied
move.
or that passed the test?
I'm sorry, that passed the test and applied. Yes. And then they move to the interview part of the process, and traditionally, captains sit on the board. Then they go to the background process, and then they'll go through the review of qualifications, which is done by fire department, and they tell us who they select, who they give conditional job offers to, and then we go on to the medical and psychological part of the test. The first group we're anticipating will complete everything by December. So if fire department chooses to have a class in January, we will be ready. I need to talk about, there is a group of candidates that we're going to be processing simultaneously because we don't want the fire chief not to have anybody on the eligible list to hire from, because we will have hires even as we're going through this new process. So we are processing the candidates that have already applied with us from the older process, and those people will still continue to move forward and be placed on the eligible list.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question about the psychological evaluation. What I do know, and it's just minimal, is that it's a pass or fail, and there's no way. I know that there's been some concern in the past with some candidates that they failed, and there was no way to find out why they failed.
You're asking about the psychological
evaluation. There was no way to look at what the questions were or see where it was. I know it's just been brought to my attention.
The psychological, our medical staff is not here, but I can speak a little bit on it. I know they use different tools that are in the industry standard to use, like the MMPI, that's one of them. And I'm not sure they use CPI, but I know they use MMPI, which is a way to determine if the person has. They basically use it to screen out people that have issues or disorders that are they should not be firefighters, basically. So it's, I think, like hundreds of questions on the MMPI, and you're saying that they're not aware of what their issues are in terms of when they fail. Yes, it is a pass-fail test. What I've heard over the years is that there are some things that can be overcome with time, that the candidates are, when they reapply, then they'll take a look at them again. But there are other issues that they cannot overcome. So, but there is an appeal process that they're told, that they can get an independent assessment. There's other things. I think they need to work with our medical services division on it, but there is an appeal process if they decide to contest their results. Anything else?
There, you said that there would be 2 locations in Los Angeles. Where will they be?
Oh. I think one is on Wilshire. It's in the booklet? Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Page 14. It's in Cal America Education Institute and the Learn It Academy. It's on page 14. So you see all the California locations, Arizona. There's locations in Oregon, Texas, Colorado, Illinois, Utah, Nevada, New York, and Washington. The PSI, what they did was they pretty much looked at our existing data to see where our candidates are coming from. So they have actually centers all over the United States. It's not just these locations. So they determined which ones our candidates were coming from, and they gave us a bunch of options. Of course, this can change if if there's some hardship that people let us know about. I also need to mention that before we even opened the bulletin, we did make sure that the written test that they recommended, the test battery, is appropriate for the city of Los Angeles, basically the fire department firefighter. So they did a transportability study to ensure that the job, that what it's assessing is validated. They also did an additional study afterwards, which is a criterion validation, getting ratings from supervisors of people who participated in the study to further bolster the validation, basically, of our use of the test.
All right, thank you. I have some comments if I can add.
Sure.
My mic is cutting out. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Here's it's always okay. I have to say the personnel department has been great partners in this, as well as our stakeholders and UFLAC. There was a lot of concerns in the last go-around about certain issues. As we move forward, what we needed to do to enhance the process was, number one, get funding for a recruitment section, which we did, headed by Alicia Welch, and they're doing great work. Number two, create a recruitment campaign. We wanted several months to recruit. Before, we would open the applications online, we'd have 13,000 applicants like that. But we didn't have the right applicants. So our recruitment section is actually targeting the right people to recruit. They're going to Camp Pendleton for military. They're going to USC, UCLA, Cal State LA, junior colleges, recruiting from the athletic teams. We think by recruiting from those sources, we're going to have candidates who have a higher likelihood of success than in the past. So we had those two things. The other issue that we heard from multiple people was that everybody should be able to take the test, because the sampling system allowed them the opportunity to take the test. What we're seeing now, we draw 700 names and we might get half of them to show up. So we're thinking that the candidates that move forward in this and take the written, they're more vested and they're more likely to go to the next step, which would be the oral interview. So we'll be sampling now from those candidates that have passed the test. So we're going to get a higher caliber of candidate as well than we currently do. And we're getting excellent candidates now, but we're always trying to tweak it to make improvements. The waiver issue, the fee is $69. There is an unlimited amount of waivers that the PSI has committed to us. And we're making the information very prominent on the website. A big button's being developed, because that was one of the concerns on the CPAT waiver. You had to navigate through multiple pages. We want it to be on the home page with a big button, so there's no confusion about how to access the waiver. We do think that at the end of the process, we will have a larger, higher caliber applicant group from which to draw from using the SRS process. But only time will tell, and we're closely monitoring the progress every step of the way.
And just a little tidbit, we allowed people to register to take the FCA starting last week. By Friday, we had about 500 registrants already who will be taking the test.
Oh, great. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, no action. So moving on to public comment, we have one comment from Frank Lima of UFLAC.
Madam President, Commissioners, Frank Lima, President, United Firefighters of Los Angeles City. First, I'd like to thank the commissioners. I was at Public Safety Committee giving comment about response times at Sylmar at 9 o'clock. And our new commissioner here, I want to thank you all because remember, history, you all inherited a fire department that was decimated, including the chief. In regards to, and thanks for your commitment working forward to help rebuild and restore. In regards to the Fire Prevention Bureau, just want to say that thank you for acknowledging our letter. Wasn't sure if I was going to be here in time, so put it in writing. And we are concerned with the current direction of the Fire Prevention Bureau, and it's just an issue of math problem. When you got a backlog over here and you see all the inspectors to come fix this problem, you create backlogs in your current seats. It's really a no-brainer, but we'll continue to address those issues. In regards to the fast response vehicle, 168 hours of the week, 7 times 24, and it only operates 40 hours a week, can't transport patients. It's good, has not been met and conferred upon. Okay, it's a pilot program, and UFLAC's cautiously watching this. If it wants to go permanent, we will meet and confer at the table over the working conditions of that operation. It's a good concept, but it's just a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound when you're going to need surgery and major overhaul. Okay, last but not least, in regards to recruitment, UFLAC's right there. We put our money where our mouth is. I'm a product of the community growing up in Lincoln Heights Fire Station 1 as a cadet explorer. We have thousands of dollars of UFLAC dues money that we're putting forward to help cadets cannot take the written exam. We are hosting a stakeholder meeting this Friday, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Second.